of it and they said, you now damaged goods. This is the first time.
At 21 years old, Arnold Schwarzenegger arrived in America with an accent people mocked, a name nobody could pronounce, and a body so enormous that Hollywood experts said it would never fit on a movie screen. He was told his voice was wrong, his face was wrong, his dream was ridiculous. Years later, that same accent would become one of the most recognizable sounds on Earth. That impossible body would redefine the action hero, and the immigrant nobody understood would stand behind a podium as the governor of California. But the part of Arnold's story that should keep you watching is not the bodybuilding trophies, the blockbuster movies, or the political victory. It is the pattern hidden underneath all of them. Every time Arnold reached the top of one mountain, he deliberately walked back down, entered a world where he was a beginner again, and allowed people to laugh at him. Most successful people spend their lives protecting one identity. Arnold destroyed his identity again and again. And one night, long before the world called him a legend, he made a promise in a nearly empty gym that explains everything he became. To understand that promise, imagine a fictional scene. Los Angeles, just before sunrise. The city is quiet. A young night cleaner named Daniel is pushing a mop across the floor of a small gym. He is 19, broke, newly arrived in America, and embarrassed by his English. Every night he cleans machines other men use to build their dreams. Every morning he leaves before those men arrive. But on this particular morning, Daniel hears metal moving in the weight room. Clang, pause, clang. He walks toward the sound and sees a giant young bodybuilder training alone. The man's shirt is soaked. His hands are torn. His breathing fills the room. Daniel recognizes him from a magazine cover, but the magazine version looked like a statue. The real man looks exhausted. Daniel asks, "Why are you training when no one is here to see?" The bodybuilder places the bar down and says, "That is exactly why. The scene is fictional, but the truth inside it is real." Arnold Schwarzenegger built his life in the hours when nobody was clapping. Long before California, long before Hollywood, long before the red carpets, there was a boy in post-war Austria staring at photographs of men who appeared larger than life. Arnold was born in 1947 in the village of Thal, near Graz. His childhood home was strict, modest, and marked by the emotional shadow that hung over much of Europe after the Second World War. His father, Gustav, was a police chief and a demanding authority figure. Discipline was not a motivational slogan in Arnold's house. It was the atmosphere. The young Arnold did not feel destined for greatness. He felt trapped by smallness. The village was beautiful, but to him it seemed like a wall. The expected life was already written. Find ordinary work, remain close to home. Accept the boundaries around you. Arnold wanted something he could not yet name. He only knew that it was far away. Then he discovered bodybuilding magazines. On those pages, he saw Reg Park, the British bodybuilding champion who had become a movie star. To most readers, Park was entertainment. To Arnold, he was evidence. His life connected three ideas Arnold desperately wanted: strength, fame, and escape. That discovery was more powerful than inspiration. It gave Arnold a blueprint. He began lifting weights as a teenager. The gym became a private country with different laws. Outside, he was a young Austrian boy. Inside, every repetition proved that identity was not permanent. A weak muscle could become strong. A narrow frame could widen. A body could be redesigned, and if the body could be redesigned, perhaps a life could be redesigned too. Most people look at reality and ask what is possible. Arnold looked at possibility and ordered reality to catch up. Soon he left Austria and moved to Munich, where he trained, worked, and competed. Money was limited. His English was not yet strong. His dreams sounded absurd even to people who liked him. He did not simply want to become a champion bodybuilder. He wanted to become the greatest bodybuilder in the world. Then he wanted to become a movie star. Then he wanted to build wealth. In 1967, Arnold won his first Mr. Universe title at only 20 years old. He would continue dominating the sport, winning multiple Mr. Universe titles and 7 Mr. Olympia championships. His physique helped transform bodybuilding from a niche pursuit into a form of global spectacle. Yet the trophies were never the final destination. This is where many people misunderstand Arnold. Bodybuilding was not simply the dream. It was the first vehicle. The muscles gave him attention. The attention gave him access. The access gave him choices. In 1968, Arnold moved to the United States, settling in California and training under influential bodybuilding promoter Joe Weider. America was the place he had imagined, but imagination had edited out the humiliations. His accent made communication difficult. His surname looked impossible on posters. His body, celebrated in bodybuilding, appeared excessive to traditional Hollywood casting directors. The industry preferred leading men who looked natural and spoke polished English. Arnold looked like a mythological statue that had walked into an audition and demanded a contract. He took acting lessons. He worked on his English. He studied business. He invested in real estate. Before movie stardom made him wealthy, he had already begun building financial independence. His early acting career was awkward. In the film Hercules in New York, his surname was replaced with Strong, and his thick accent was considered such a problem that his dialogue was later dubbed in some versions. The breakthrough did not arrive as a traditional acting role. It arrived through a documentary about bodybuilding. Pumping Iron, released in 1977, introduced audiences to Arnold's charisma, confidence, humor, and psychological gamesmanship. He was not just a man with muscles. He understood the camera. He understood rivalry. He understood how to turn personality into narrative. Then came Conan the Barbarian in 1982. The role did not require Arnold to hide his physique. It made his physique the entire logic of the character. His unusual appearance, once treated as a limitation, became the reason he could not be replaced. Conan made Arnold a star. But 2 years later, a low-budget science fiction film turned him into an icon. The Terminator. The role was originally discussed in a different way, but Arnold became the machine, cold, relentless, physically overwhelming. He spoke relatively few words, yet one line became immortal. "I'll be back." The sentence worked because of everything Hollywood had once rejected. The accent made it distinctive. The rigid delivery made it believable. The body made the threat feel mechanical. The flaws had not disappeared. The context had changed. But Arnold was too strategic to remain trapped in one category. He moved into comedy with Twins, playing opposite Danny DeVito. On paper, the pairing sounded like a joke because it was a joke. The contrast itself became the concept. Twins was a major success. Then came Kindergarten Cop, where the giant action hero faced a classroom of children. Again, Arnold used the audience's expectations against them. He understood that people were not only watching his characters, they were watching the collision between his image and the situation. In 2003, California faced a recall election. Arnold announced his candidacy for governor. Political observers questioned whether a celebrity action star could manage the largest state in the country. His supporters saw independence and energy. His critics saw spectacle. He won. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Austrian immigrant once told his name was too difficult for Hollywood, became the 38th governor of California. Yet this chapter was not a movie. There were no guaranteed heroic endings. Governing meant compromise, criticism, budget battles, policy failures, shifting approval, and consequences that could not be solved by a final explosion. Arnold served 2 terms, from 2003 to 2011. His record remains debated, as political records should be. Supporters point to his work on environmental policy and bipartisan initiatives. Critics point to fiscal problems, political compromises, and promises that proved difficult to fulfill. But whether one admires his politics or not, the transformation itself remains astonishing. But there is another side to his story, and without it, the legend becomes dishonest. Strength does not erase damage. Success does not prevent betrayal. A public image can be enormous while a private life is breaking apart. In 2011, after leaving office, Arnold and Maria Shriver announced their separation. It later became public that Arnold had fathered a child with a member of the household staff years earlier. The revelation caused deep pain to his family and permanently changed how many people viewed him. There is no motivational slogan that can cleanly cover that chapter. Arnold has spoken about his responsibility and regret. But regret does not reverse consequences. The people we admire can possess extraordinary discipline in one area and devastating weakness in another. Human beings are not consistent statues. They are contradictions. That truth makes his story more difficult, but also more useful. Now return to the fictional young cleaner, Daniel, in the empty gym. Years pass. Daniel never becomes a famous bodybuilder. He does not become a movie star or governor. He opens a small repair shop. He marries. He raises 2 daughters. He works through recessions, illness, and the quiet disappointments that never appear in documentaries. On the wall of his shop, he keeps one sentence written on a piece of cardboard: that is exactly why. Why work when nobody is watching? That is exactly why. Why keep going when no one believes you? That is exactly why. Why apologize when the apology cannot erase the damage? That is exactly why. Why begin again when you are old enough to protect your reputation? That is exactly why. You can turn a disadvantage into a signature. You can leave a successful chapter before it becomes a cage. And when you cause harm, you can stop hiding behind your accomplishments and take responsibility. Arnold's later years have continued the pattern of public activity. He returned to acting, remained involved in fitness, promoted environmental causes, and used social media to speak directly to millions. During difficult moments, his messages often returned to the same themes: service, discipline, usefulness, and refusing to surrender to despair. He also faced serious health challenges, including multiple heart procedures connected to a congenital heart condition. For a man whose public image was built on physical invincibility, the hospital became another kind of reality. The body that made him famous was never actually indestructible. No body is. That may be the final transformation in Arnold's story, the movement from strength as appearance to strength as recovery. A young Arnold wanted to look powerful. An older Arnold has had to practice power in a quieter form, waking after surgery, confronting limitations, rebuilding, continuing. There is a scene from his life that captures this spirit. After one heart operation, complications reportedly led to emergency surgery. He had expected a relatively straightforward procedure and awakened to a far more serious situation. Recovery required him to walk again, first with assistance, then farther, then stronger, because he had a film production ahead. It sounds like a familiar Arnold montage, except this time the enemy was not fictional. There was no stunt double for healing. Step by step, breath by breath, the Terminator image gave way to the human being beneath it. And perhaps that is why Arnold Schwarzenegger still fascinates people. He is several impossible stories stacked on top of each other. An Austrian village boy becomes a bodybuilding champion. A bodybuilding champion becomes a movie star. A movie star becomes a comedy lead. An immigrant becomes a governor. A symbol of physical invincibility becomes a patient learning to recover. A man celebrated for discipline is forced to confront the places where his discipline failed. His life refuses to stay in one genre. But there is a danger in telling a story like this. Inspiration can become theater. We watch, feel powerful for a few minutes, and then return to the same habits. Arnold's philosophy has always demanded action. Not someday, not when confidence arrives. Action first, confidence later. So ask yourself a difficult question. What identity are you protecting because you are afraid to become a beginner again? Maybe you are known as the reliable employee, but you want to build something of your own. Maybe you are the strong person in your family, but you need to admit you are struggling. Maybe you succeeded once and now avoid challenges that could expose you. Maybe you failed publicly and decided that one chapter was the entire book. Arnold's life argues against that conclusion. You are not required to remain the person your last victory created. You are not required to remain the person your worst mistake revealed. Reinvention does not mean pretending the past never happened. It means carrying the truth forward while refusing to let it become the final boundary. Picture Arnold at different ages standing in the same empty room. At 15, he holds a bodybuilding magazine. At 20, a trophy. At 37, a leather jacket from the Terminator. At 56, a governor's oath. Later, a hospital walker. Each object belongs to a different life. The boy holding the magazine cannot prove any of the others will exist. He has only a picture in his mind and a willingness to look foolish. That is where every transformation begins. Not with applause, with an internal image nobody else can see. The world eventually celebrates the finished statue, but it rarely respects the first strike of the hammer. Arnold's first hammer strike was a repetition in a small gym. Then another. Then another. Thousands of repetitions later, people called it genetics, luck, charisma, timing, or destiny. All of those forces may play a role, but destiny is often the name observers give to discipline after they have missed the years of construction. And even discipline is not enough by itself. Arnold understood publicity. He understood alliances. He understood money. He understood that success requires not only effort, but positioning. He chose mentors. He studied the rules of each arena. Then he searched for the rule that could be broken. In bodybuilding, he turned competition into theater. In Hollywood, he turned an accent into branding. In comedy, he turned physical contrast into humor. In politics, he turned celebrity into access. The strategy was never work hard alone. It was see the game clearly, then become impossible to ignore. That is a more demanding lesson because it removes a comforting excuse. Effort matters, but effort without direction can become a treadmill. Arnold always had a destination. His vision was sometimes excessive. His confidence was sometimes outrageous. His choices were sometimes deeply flawed. But he did not drift. And drifting quietly destroys more dreams than dramatic failure ever will. There is one final fictional image. Daniel, now an old man, closes his repair shop for the last time. His daughters help him remove photographs from the wall. One of them finds the cardboard sentence and asks where it came from. Daniel smiles. He tells her about the empty gym, the giant bodybuilder, and the question he asked before sunrise. His daughter says, "Did that man change your life?" Daniel looks around the shop he built, at the tools worn smooth by decades of work, at the family standing beside him. "No," he says. "He gave me a sentence. I changed my life." That is the difference between worship and inspiration. Worship stares at the statue. Inspiration picks up the hammer. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story is not permission to copy his life. It is permission to build your own with greater intention. Take the vision. Take the work ethic. Take the courage to enter new rooms. Take the ability to transform what others reject into an advantage. And take the warning too. Success without character can wound the people closest to you. Strength without honesty is only performance. Winning in public does not excuse failure in private. The complete lesson is not that Arnold became unstoppable. It is that no human being is unstoppable. We are all powerful in some moments, weak in others, disciplined in one room, careless in another. The goal is not to become a machine. The goal is to become more awake, more responsible, more useful, more willing to begin again. Somewhere tonight, a person with an accent is afraid to speak. A beginner is afraid to enter the gym. An older worker believes it is too late to change careers. A patient is staring at a hospital hallway, wondering whether they can take 10 steps. A person who made a terrible mistake is deciding whether to hide or face the consequences. They do not need to become Arnold Schwarzenegger. They need to recognize the same doorway. The doorway that appears whenever life says, "This is not who you are." And you answer, "Not yet." That may be the most powerful line in Arnold's entire story. Not, "I'll be back." Not a campaign slogan. Not a championship speech. Just two words aimed at every limit that pretends to be permanent. Not yet. You are not strong enough. Not yet. You are not ready. Not yet. You do not belong here. Not yet. Your best chapter is behind you. Not yet. The answer does not deny reality, it challenges its finality. Arnold's life moved from a village to a stage to a screen, from a screen to a statehouse, and from the image of invincibility to the reality of human recovery. Each transformation began before there was evidence. That is the part nobody can give you. Someone can offer advice. A mentor can open a door. A family can support you. An audience can applaud you. But eventually, you must enter the empty gym alone. You must do the repetition that produces no immediate reward. You must practice the sentence your mouth cannot yet say smoothly. You must submit the application that might be rejected. You must make the apology that might not be accepted. You must take the first step with the walker. You must become willing to look like a beginner. Because the beginner is not the weakest person in the room. The beginner is the only person who can become someone new. Arnold Schwarzenegger became famous for building muscle, but his greater talent was building identities. Champion, actor, businessman, governor, advocate, survivor. Some identities earned admiration, some invited criticism. All of them reveal the same restless refusal to remain finished. And maybe that is the real reason his story has lasted. The muscles changed. The box office rankings changed. The political power ended. The applause moved on. But the construction never stopped. So when this video ends, do not ask whether Arnold Schwarzenegger is extraordinary. Of course he is. Ask a better question. What are you building when nobody is watching? Write your answer in the comments, not as a dream, but as a decision. Name the one identity you are ready to outgrow. And if this story reminded you that reinvention is possible at any age, subscribe, because the next story may be the one that finds you exactly when you are standing at your own doorway.